Hi friends, it's Lauren Taylor. Thanks for joining me in my craft room today. I'm excited to be here sharing with you some Pretty Pink Posh new releases. Today is their Halloween release for 2024. I do have my hot foil large boo script and the large boo shadow dies from a previous release, but what you see on screen, my dies, stencil, and embellishment pack are all new for today's release. I'm starting off with die cutting my largest eyelet rectangle die out of some purple cardstock. And once I get all of the little confetti circles popped out of my eyelets, I'm going to go ahead and work on stenciling my background. I am using the Scattered Bats stencil, and I'm going to go ahead and get my waffle flower set up here. I want to use the brand new shaker or the bat shaker die set, and so I'm trying to figure out in which direction I want my card to be, and I'm deciding to go landscape. So I'm going to start with adding some black ink. I wanted to just darken up the bats a little bit before adding my solar paste. So I'm going to use a blending brush and black soot distress ink and go ahead and just cover all of those bats through the stencil. Honestly, I think this looks great just like this if you're creating your own background and you don't have stencil paste. But what I really like about the solar paste is that they have a kind of a white hue to them, but then the color that you're using has a nice kind of metallic sheen to it. So for solar paste, I'm using Royal Flush, and I'm not going to be able to use any extra or put any extra back into my container because the solar paste will pick up some of the ink that I have through my stencil. So I'm doing my very best to not put too much onto my stencil. And then I filled in all of the bats, and I like doing this with the darker ink because it's just going to darken up my bats just a tiny bit more than if it were to be just on solid cardstock. So I set that aside to dry, and next we're going to work on assembling our bat shaker. So I'm going to use all of the dies from the bat shaker die set. I'm going to use the stitched outline die or the stitch die of the bat shape twice. So I'll cut it once along with the head of my bat through my die cutting machine with some black cardstock, and then I'll run it through a second time, the stitched bat design, and I'm going to use the inside cut of the bat to create my shaker frame, and I'm also going to die cut the cute little face out of the head of the bat. Now when I start assembling my card together, I'm going to really like the face to have some color, because at first I was thinking it would just be the color coming through the shaker that would be the eyes and mouth of my bat, but I decide that I want to bring in more of that purple cardstock, so I'm going to die cut the face out of purple cardstock as well when I get to putting the bat together, and that will just give my bat a little bit more fun personality. I'm also going to run the stitched outline die of the bat through my die cut machine, but I'm going to die cut it out of some acetate. I was in a virtual retreat and someone had mentioned that you can run the acetate through your die cut machine with a piece of white paper on the other side to help with adding more pressure for the acetate to cut through. Now, while it did cut through some of the die, I still needed to go in with my scissors and just finish cutting it out, which is not a big deal to me. I like having the impression and being able to just follow that design to cut out my acetate. So even just adding the pressured, like pushed in design into the acetate is fine with me. Now I'm going to start with assembling my shaker. So I'm starting with using the black outline, and I want my acetate to adhere to the back side. So I'm applying my 1/8 of an inch double-sided adhesive tape all along the back of my die cut, and then I will adhere the acetate to this outlined die cut. I found that starting with the bottom tip of the bat was just a little easier for me to make sure that that acetate was as lined up as best as possible. But even if it does stick out, you could just use scissors to trim anywhere you don't want acetate peeking out of. When I'm done adding these two layers together, I'm going to bring out my 1/8 of an inch 3mm foam strips from scrapbook.com. I really wish these were black instead of white because it's just going to fit along the design of the die cut. But I'll show you kind of a cheap, easy way to make your foam look black once you're done. So I'm just going to go around the full outline of my bat, just adding this foam adhesive. Anywhere where I had to start a new piece of foam, I made sure it was really snug against the existing foam, so that way my confetti mix won't get through any of the openings. I'm using the Spooky Sky confetti mix. There's some really fun designs in here, stars, moons, kind of sprinkles, and the little off-white stars also glow in the dark. So now I'm taking the solid black bat, forget the top of my head, and I am adhering my shaker fully together. Now, as you can see, you can really see that white foam, and I don't like it. So I'm just grabbing a Sharpie. You could use a black alcohol marker and just add ink to the white foam adhesive. It's not perfect, but it's far better than having white. I do have some black foam adhesive, but it's not as thick as my 3mm, so I just ended up using the 3mm and just using the marker. I was going to glue the face of my bat to my shaker, but then I added just a little bit of tape to just give my purple pieces something a little more to stick to than the acetate of the bat. So I'm adding the cute little face of my bat, and then I'll use my glue and my jewel picker to add in the eyes and the mouth of this adorable little shaker bat. That will finish off the shaker. I think he's looking super cute. I love the color combination of black, yellow, purple, and the glow in the dark for this card. I think it's going to go really well with the stenciled background that I made first in this video. So now my background is pretty much dry. I'm just giving it a little tap to make sure, and you could see when the light hits it, you get that purple sheen, but then you can also see that black kind of coming through as well. I'm going to go ahead and warm up my Glimmer hot foil machine off camera, and I'm going to hot foil the Boo sentiment, and I'm going to use Prism Spellbinders Glimmer hot foil to do the Boo. Again, I'm trying to go with a foil that matches the vibes of the card so far. I thought about doing black, but I just thought using the Prism would match the lunar paste color a little bit more from the background. So I just think this is going to look really nice. I'm going to do it on white cardstock, and I did that thinking that I could ink blend it if I couldn't read the word Boo as well as I wanted to when it foils. But I think it ends up looking really nice, and I am really happy with the foil that I chose. So while my machine is heating up and I'm doing the Glimmer hot foil process, I'll go ahead and grab another new die from this release called the Spider Web Border. There's an adorable little spider that you can die cut as well, but I'm just going to do the web, and I'm going to die cut it out of some white sparkle kind of glittery cardstock, and the die is a little bit longer than 5.5, which is really nice. So you can play with the design a bit on a standard A2 card. So I have my card base here, and it's a side folding card since I'm going to be putting my card horizontally, and you can see that the web fits perfectly for the design. So here is my hot foiled Boo. I love this like kind of iridescent silvery look. Like I said, I think it's going to match so well with the background and even the white glitter paper. I used the shadow die from the large Boo shadow dies to die cut it out. I love that the die works well to cut out the hot foil, so I don't have to fussy cut it. I'm adding some adhesive to the back of my panel, trying really hard not to squish my design. It's dry, but you know, I don't want to smear anything from just being too forceful with my adhesive. So I added that directly to the center of my white card base. Then I'm going to add liquid adhesive to all my little spider webs behind the glitter paper. And I want my bat to be higher up on the card, so I'm going to add the spider webs a little lower. I'm going to use my grid mat to get it centered and straight as best as possible. It was a teeny tiny bit wider than 5.5 inches, so I'm just going to grab some scissors and trim off the excess cardstock, just so it lines up evenly to the edges of my card base. I'm going to use liquid adhesive to add my bat as well. It already has a ton of dimension because of the foam to create the shaker, so I didn't really want to add any more behind that. And again, I'll use my grid to help me with getting my bat centered. And I think he just looks so cute on this purple background. I'm really liking how fun this card is turning out. For Boo, I decided to grab my foam adhesive. I'm going to use that 3mm again, just so it looks to be on the same level as what I used for the dimension for my bat. I'm going to follow the curves of my Boo sentiment, and to do any type of bending and twisting, you just need to take off the release paper from both sides of your foam adhesive strips, and they're just so much more pliable. I'm doing my best to get that Boo nice and centered, but also kind of at an angle just for some fun. And here is a close-up look at my Boo Bat Shaker card, celebrating the new release from Pretty Pink Posh today. Make sure you head over to my blog. I'll have it linked down below so you can participate in the blog hop this week and be entered to win a gift card. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll click like, and if you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. As always, you can find everything I use down below in the description box. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye!